Greetings and welcome to Portraits and Fitness. My name is David. I'm a personal and corporate branding photographer specializing in portraits and headshots based in the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area. And this is the first video in a series that I would like to present on what it's like to be a photographer and some of my favorite shoots. And a big part of being a working photographer is just being prepared. And so I'd like to take a journey back to over a decade ago when I was living in Taiwan. I was just starting out doing some paid jobs, and I picked up a job working as kind of a set photographer for a documentarian who lived in my area. I became friendly with. And he was hired by a local hospital to do a couple of features or exposés on some patients that they had operated on and saved their lives and changed their lives. So I was asked to come along and document the documentation. And as I was working on my own series of stranger portraits, back then it was popular on Flickr, which I was pretty active on, to engage in a 100 strangers project. And it was a really good exercise in not just photography, but really working with people, asking to take their photograph, to make a portrait of them, finding out ways to break the ice, and also dealing with rejection. You always start from no, and if that is the answer, then you can't be disappointed. So I learned a lot and gained a lot from that personal strangers portrait project, and actually ended up unexpectedly holding an exhibition. And the 10th anniversary of that exhibition is actually coming up. How time flies. So this is kind of a story of how I ended up with the poster that I used when I advertised in the gallery that held the exhibition, advertised my exhibition of stranger portraits, because that's what it featured. It was my portraits at the Lomography Gallery in Taipei. Since I was working on this project, I asked the director if he would allow me the opportunity to ask the subjects of the exposés and features if they would permit me to just a moment to work with them and make a portrait of them. And so the first stop was just meeting the staff and the director or the president of the hospital, the Far Eastern Hospital in Taipei. And from there, we went to a cardiac surgery patient's house. And I remember him very well and how the surgery had really given him a new lease on life, and especially really met his wife and how she was just so relieved to have him still in the world. You could just tell that they were still very much fond of each other and loved each other. And we're so glad that he had a new lease on life with his new heart, or having had open heart surgery. And so I just asked him if I could have a moment, and he did display the tracks running down his chest during the interview. And it was really an emotional moment for everybody there. It even made the handler from the hospital break out in tears when Mr. Chiu went into how he felt he was on the brink of dying, and how his life has been saved. And his wife broke out into tears as well. So building on that poignant moment during the interview with the director, I got my few minutes with Mr. Chiu, and I didn't even have time to set much up. I only had one light stand with me, so I just broke out a medium-sized softbox, and I actually didn't even have a second light stand or any way to rig a second light or a second modifier. So I just asked Mr. Dong, the director, to hold a speed light and use it as kind of an edge light. And really, Mr. Chiu did the rest. I just asked him to kind of think about, reflect on what would it be like if you weren't here, and how the people in your life. I remember he had a grown daughter who was looking forward to a marriage soon, and then the wife that he would have left behind. So he cast his eyes downward in reflection and really got lost in that moment. That's when I captured that photo. And then I said, okay, well, how do you feel now that you have a new lease on life and you have a new heart, a new beginning? And he gave me a big smile and a thumbs up, and that's how I got the second kind of before and after photos. So that's the story behind a photo series that I'm proud of to this day, and ended up being on the cover with a poster of the exhibition that resulted from just initiating my own stranger portrait series. The lesson that I really want to drive home for any photographer is always carry that passion with you, and always be prepared to ask somebody to work with them, ask for their understanding, and understand them in return. And when you get that kind of a rapport going, you can make magic. So always be prepared and cherish those moments. As always, thank you for watching. And as I like to say, until the next video, be good to yourself.